The janitor with secrets the night was quiet inside the headquarters of the great alien corporation. The hallway shined like silver rivers under the soft glow of blue ceiling lights. Most workers had gone home. Only a few alien guards remained. At their posts, the offices of executives stood locked behind tall glass doors, silent and cold. In the middle of that silent building walked a single man. His shoes squeaked on the floor as he pushed an old mop bucket. The man wore a faded uniform. With a patch that read custodian, his face showed lines of tired years. His eyes carried both strength and sadness. This was Daniel, a single father. Known only as the janitor who mopped floors when the galaxy's rich and powerful had already left. Daniel's daughter was everything to him. She was the reason he worked long nights and early mornings. She was the reason he kept his head down and never asked for more. To the alien staff, he was invisible, just another human worker, useful but unimportant. No one looked twice when he bent over with his mop, scrubbing stains from the smooth alien stone. But Daniel carried something he never shared, a secret buried deep inside him, a secret that no one in that building, or even on that planet, would ever expect. As he moved slowly past the executive chambers, he heard voices. The doors ahead were slightly open, light spilled into the hallway, and words floated out, harsh and sharp. The language was alien, filled with clicks, growls, and long notes that no human was supposed to understand. Daniel paused. He should have kept walking. He should have ignored it, but his ears caught every word. His heart thumped. He understood. Inside the chamber, two tall executives argued. Their long robes shimmered with the colors of their alien rank, their scaled faces twisted in anger. One slammed a clawed hand on the table. The numbers do not add up. He growled, in a tongue believed impossible for humans to learn. The other replied in the same language. If the humans find out, the corporation will be ruined. Daniel froze. His mop handle shook in his hand. He should walk away, pretend. He never heard, but a storm rose inside him. He had lived too long in silence, too long hiding what he could do. And then it happened. His voice spoke before he could stop himself. "You miscalculated the second contract," Daniel said softly, in their own alien tongue. His words flowed smooth, perfect. The mop dripped water on the floor, but no one noticed. The two executives spun around. Their eyes widened, their jaws hung open. The words they had heard from the human janitor were not broken, not clumsy, but fluent, precise. The room went silent. The air seemed to freeze. One of them hissed, "Impossible." Daniel's heart pounded. His palms sweated. He had revealed himself without thinking. 1,000 thoughts ran through his mind. His daughter's face flashed before him. Her safety, her future. Everything he had tried to protect, but it was too late to take it back. The alien executive stepped closer, towering over him. One leaned down, his eyes narrowing like a predator's. "Say that again, human," he demanded. Daniel swallowed. His mop handle felt heavy in his grip. He could lie. He could pretend it was just an accident, but something in him refused to shrink this time. He straightened his back, lifted his chin, and repeated the words in their language, sharper and clearer than before. Gasps filled the room. Even the guards outside turned their heads. Everyone stared at the human janitor as if they were seeing him for the first time. "Who taught you this?" One executive whispered. His voice carried both fear and suspicion. Daniel did not answer. He just stood there, breathing slowly. He knew the less he said, the more powerful his presence became. The aliens glanced at each other. Confusion and shock clear in their eyes. This was not supposed to happen. No human was supposed to speak their old executive dialect. Even most younger aliens could not speak it so perfectly. And yet, here stood a janitor with a mop, speaking words that had not been heard from a human in living memory. Outside the chamber, more aliens gathered. They whispered among themselves. Their voices trembled. Did you hear? The human spoke our tongue. Fluently, rumors spread like fire through dry grass. In minutes, the quiet janitor had become the center of attention. Every eye turned to him. Every whisper carried his name. But Daniel's face remained calm. He returned his mop to the bucket, dipped it again in water, and pressed it against the floor. As if nothing had happened, his hands moved like a worker. But his heart thundered like a warrior's drum. The executives exchanged a final glance. One of them said coldly, "Bring him to the council tomorrow." The words echoed in Daniel's mind. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing: his secret was no longer safe. And as he walked down the glowing hallway, mop in hand, his shadow stretched long and heavy. Behind him, jaws were still dropped, and eyes still burned with questions. The janitor with secrets had been revealed, but no one, not even Daniel himself, knew just how far that secret would change everything. The stunned executives, the silence inside the chamber, stretched like a blade. No one moved, not even the guards who usually shifted impatiently at the door. All eyes stayed fixed on the human janitor. Standing with a mop in his hand, the taller executive finally broke the silence. His voice was sharp but shaken, human. "Repeat what you said." Daniel, the janitor, kept his head steady. He could feel the weight of their stares pressing down on him. He should have stayed quiet. He should have kept his secret, but the words had already escaped his mouth, and now? There was no turning back. Slowly, in the same alien language, Daniel repeated the sentence he had spoken before. His voice was calm, fluent, and without error. The executive's scaled face twitched, his claw tapped against the table. He glanced at his companion, searching for an explanation, but none came. The second executive, older and heavier, leaned forward. His eyes were cold. "That language is not taught to humans," he hissed. "Only the old council speaks it. Even some of our kind cannot speak it so cleanly." "Oh, is it possible?" Daniel said nothing. He only looked back at them, quiet but unbroken. One of the guards stepped closer, his hand on his weapon. "Shall I take him now?" he asked. But the executives raised their claws, stopping him. "No." The elder one muttered, "Not yet. We must test him." They turned their sharp gazes back to Daniel. The taller one spoke, his words fast and tricky. Filled with hidden meanings and difficult tones, it was a phrase meant to trap. A phrase even young aliens struggled to understand without hesitation. Daniel translated it back into common speech, not only correct, but smoother than the original. Then he added, "You mispronounced the last word." Gasps filled the chamber. The guards shifted uncomfortably. Even the younger clerks who had gathered outside the door whispered nervously. The taller executive's mouth opened, but no words came out. His pride was wounded. He had been corrected by a human janitor. The older one narrowed his eyes. "Say this then." He spoke a proverb, one from their ancestors, a riddle passed down through bloodlines. It was something even many executives had forgotten. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. The memory of long nights on distant colonies came back to him, old voices teaching him when he was younger. He repeated the proverb flawlessly, every sound sharp and clear. The older executive sat back in his chair. His scaled fingers clenched the armrest. "Impossible," he muttered, "completely impossible." Outside, the whispers grew louder. Workers passing by slowed down, trying to catch a glimpse of the human who spoke forbidden words. Rumors would spread through the building before morning. The janitor was no longer invisible. His face would be remembered. The taller executive leaned close to Daniel. His breath smelled of bitter herbs. His voice lowered to a dangerous growl. "Who are you really? You cannot be what you appear. Tell us, or we will tear the truth from you." Daniel's grip tightened on the mop handle. He could feel his heart racing, but forced his face to stay calm. He gave no answer. His silence was more powerful than any excuse. The The room grew tense. The guards shifted again, waiting for the command to seize him, but the elder executive raised his claw. "Not here," he said. "Not now. The council must see this with their own eyes if we act too quickly. We may lose what he knows." The taller one growled in frustration. "He is a janitor, a human with no rank. Why protect him?" The elder replied coldly, "Because knowledge is more dangerous than weapons. And this human holds knowledge even we may not possess." Their words sent a chill down Daniel's spine. He understood what they were planning. They did not want him dead, at least not yet. They wanted to use him, test him, maybe even break him. The whispers outside turned into a buzz. Aliens pressed against the glass walls to look at him. Daniel glanced at their wide eyes. He knew his life had just changed forever. The secret he had hidden for years was now exposed, and there was no way to go back to being invisible. Suddenly, one of the clerks rushed into the chamber. His face pale, his voice shook. "Executives. The news is spreading across the building. Everyone is talking. Should I order silence?" The elder executive's eyes flashed with irritation. "Let them talk," he said slowly. "Fear spreads faster when it is carried by whispers." Daniel felt the weight of those words. He wasn't just a janitor anymore. He was a mystery, a threat, maybe even a weapon in their eyes. The taller executive turned to him again, his voice sharp. "Tomorrow, human, you will stand before the council. They will decide what to do with you." He stepped back, his eyes still burning with suspicion and anger. The guards surrounded Daniel, but they didn't touch him. They only watched him with cold stares, as if he were no longer human. But something strange and dangerous. Daniel lowered his eyes, pretending to return to his mop. His hands worked slowly, but his thoughts were racing. His daughter was waiting for him at home, safe for now. But what would happen when the council called for him? What would happen when they discovered the full truth? As he pushed the mop bucket down the shining hall, aliens whispered and stared. The same man they ignored every night was now the most talked about human in the entire building. The janitor with secrets was no longer hidden. He had become a storm. And everyone feared what the storm would bring. The test of tongues the next morning. The alien headquarters was no longer the same. Whispers of the human janitor had spread across every level, from the kitchens to the executive floors. Everyone was talking about him, a man who carried a mop, but spoke the ancient alien tongue better than the council themselves. Daniel felt the weight of all those whispers as he walked into the building. His mop bucket rattled on the floor, but this time, every alien who passed him stopped to stare. Some looked with curiosity, others with fear, and some with anger. He wished he could disappear. He wished he could go back to being invisible. But the night before had broken that life forever. When he reached the executive hall, guards were already waiting. Their armor gleamed, their weapons ready. "Come with us, human," one of them said, not rudely, but firmly. Daniel nodded. His face was calm, but inside, his stomach churned. He thought of his daughter waiting at home. He told himself he must stay strong for her, for their future. The guards led him into a large chamber, a place he had never seen before. The ceiling rose like a cathedral, glowing with alien symbols. Long tables formed a half circle. And at the center sat a group of council members, older and more powerful than the executives he had met the night before. Their robes shimmered with rank, their eyes sharp like blades. Daniel was placed in the middle, his mop and bucket taken from him. He stood alone under the bright lights, surrounded by eyes that studied him as if he were a rare animal. One of the council members leaned forward, his voice deep and slow. "You are the human who spoke our forgotten tongue. We will see if this is true. We will test you." Daniel said nothing. He simply nodded. His silence was steady. The test began. The first council member spoke a phrase, long and twisted, filled with harsh tones. It was a phrase from ancient trade. Agreements used centuries ago, a phrase no ordinary human should even recognize. But Daniel repeated it instantly, not only correct, but with the right pauses. The right rhythm. His voice carried confidence, as if he had spoken the language his whole life. The chamber murmured in shock. Several members leaned closer. Writing notes on glowing tablets, the second test came. Another counselor asked him to translate a proverb, a riddle used by alien philosophers. Daniel smiled faintly as he answered, his voice smooth and flawless. Again, whispers filled the chamber. One of the younger council members whispered, "Even I cannot speak it so cleanly." But the tests did not stop. They became harder, faster, crueler. The council threw questions at him like knives, legal codes, old war chants, songs of forgotten dynasties. They wanted to trap him. They wanted to find a weakness. Daniel's mind worked like fire. He answered every one, his voice firm, his tone steady. Sometimes he even corrected them, reminding them of words they had misplaced, correcting mistakes that no one else dared to challenge. The chamber grew restless. Some council members leaned forward with shining eyes, seeing something powerful in him. Others grew pale with fear, realizing what this meant. At last, one of the oldest counselors stood, his robes heavy with symbols of wisdom. His voice shook as he spoke. "You? Human, how can this be? Who taught you this language? Who gave you knowledge that even our children no longer hold?" Daniel hesitated. His throat felt dry. He thought of the past he never spoke about. He thought of the years in alien colonies. When he was young, when survival forced him to listen, to learn, to remember, he thought of the voices that had guided him. Voices now long gone, I learned, Daniel said simply, his voice calm. I listened when others did not. I remembered when others forgot. The old counselor's eyes narrowed. His voice dropped lower. Knowledge is not free. Knowledge has a price. Human, do you understand the danger you stand in? Daniel met his gaze without fear. I understand danger, he said softly. I live with it every day. I mop floors for people who never see me. I raise a child alone in a galaxy that does not care. You think danger is new to me? It is not. The words struck like a spark in the chamber. Some counselors frowned. Some whispered in awe. The elder one studied him with cold eyes. Then, without warning, another counselor rose. His voice harsh. Enough of riddles. He is lying. He is a spy. He must be taken and broken until the truth comes out. The guard shifted, ready to move. Daniel tensed. His hands clenched. He had no weapon, but he stood tall before the guards could touch him. The elder raised his claw. No, not yet. He said, the human has shown skill no one else possesses, if he is a spy. Then he is the most valuable spy we have ever seen. If he is not, then he may hold the key to things even we have forgotten. The chamber buzzed again. Suspicion and curiosity wrestled in the air. Daniel's eyes swept across the room. He saw fear. He saw greed. He saw hunger in their stares. But he also saw something else, respect, reluctant but real. At last, the elder spoke again. Human, you will not leave this place today. You will stay under our watch until we know who you are and what you carry. Daniel's heart sank. He thought of his daughter waiting for him at home, not knowing why her father had not returned. His chest tightened, but he kept his face calm. The guards stepped forward, their hands closing on his arms. Daniel did not fight. He let them take him. His mind burned with one thought: he must find a way back to her, no matter the cost. And as the council watched him being led away, their eyes gleamed with both fear and desire. They had tested the human, and the human had passed. But what they would do with him? That was only the beginning. Shadows of the past, Daniel sat in a dimly lit chamber. His wrists were not bound, but two armored guards stood near the door, watching him with cold eyes. The floor glowed faintly beneath his chair, and the walls hummed. With alien energy, it was not a prison cell, but it felt just as heavy. He knew why they had not locked him in chains, because they did not yet understand him. They feared what he knew, and curiosity was stronger than their hatred. For now, they needed him alive. The door slid open, and one of the elder executives entered, his robes dragging across the glowing floor, his eyes sharp as knives. He sat across from Daniel, folding his clawed hands together. "You will tell us the truth." "Human," the alien said, his voice calm but dangerous. "No one learns the council's tongue by accident. No one remembers proverbs that even our children have forgotten. So answer me, where did you learn? Who taught you?" Daniel's jaw tightened. He had been asked this before, but every time he stayed quiet. Silence was his shield. But now, with the alien's eyes fixed on him, memories stirred, memories he had buried for years. He closed his eyes, and the shadows of his past rose before him. Long ago, before he was just a janitor, before he was a father raising a little girl alone, Daniel had traveled off-world. He had been young, desperate. Running from debts and looking for work, he took any job he could find. Duty on distant mining colonies, cargo hauling through dangerous systems, even smuggling food between war zones. It was in those places, far away from Earth, that he first heard the alien tongues. At first, it was noise, harsh and strange. But Daniel had a gift. He listened, he remembered. He repeated sounds until they became words. He picked up languages, the way others picked up tools one night after a raid on a mining colony. Daniel had been left stranded with survivors, aliens of different clans, injured, frightened, desperate. They had no translators, no way to communicate, but Daniel sat with them, repeating their words, mimicking their sounds, learning like a child. In days, he could speak enough to comfort them. In weeks, he spoke as if he had been raised among them. The aliens had looked at him with astonishment. One elder had said to him, "You have the ear of memory, human, a gift rare even among our kind." From then on, he became more than a worker. He became a bridge. Soldiers, traders, wanderers all taught him more. He gathered words like others gathered weapons, and slowly he began to learn even the oldest dialects, the ones spoken only in ritual or law. But those years were dangerous. He saw betrayals. He saw entire colonies burned. He heard secrets whispered. In the dark, he carried knowledge that powerful people would kill to keep hidden. And when war finally tore those colonies apart, Daniel escaped. Carrying his memories like hidden fire, he returned to Earth broken, with nothing but debts, scars, and a child. Soon after, he buried his past. He told no one what he knew, not even his wife before she passed. He became a janitor, silent, invisible, a man with a mop and a daughter to raise. But now the past had caught him, dragged into the light by a slip of the tongue. Daniel opened his eyes, staring at the executive across the table. "I learned because I listened," he said. Quietly, "No one taught me. I taught myself, word by word, night after night." In places you have forgotten, the executive's eyes narrowed. His claws tapped against the table. "You expect me to believe a janitor learned the councils? Tongue alone. Lies," he hissed. But Daniel's calm stare did not waver. His silence carried more power than shouting ever could. The executive leaned closer, his voice lower. "Then you know too much. Human, if you carry knowledge of our ancestors, then you carry danger. Do you understand? Knowledge destroys as easily as fire." Daniel's lips curved in a faint smile. "Then maybe you should not have left it lying in the ashes." The alien's eyes flared with anger. He slammed his claw on the table. The guards stiffened, ready to move, but the elder stopped himself. breathing hard, his face twisted between rage and fear. "You will meet the High Council," he growled. "They will decide if you are a weapon or waste." He rose and left, the chamber door sliding shut behind him. Daniel leaned back in the chair, his heart pounding. He had spoken the truth, but the truth was a blade, and now it was in alien hands. Far away, in a small apartment, his daughter waited. She did not know her father was now standing on the edge of something far greater than mopping floors. Something that could either destroy them or save them. Daniel's eyes hardened. His past had returned. The shadows he had run from were no longer shadows. They were standing before him, demanding answers, and he knew this was only the beginning. The daughter's danger the night outside the alien headquarters was restless. Inside, Daniel sat alone. In his chamber, but his thoughts were not here. They were with his daughter Anna, who waited in their small apartment far across the city. He pictured her sitting by the window, clutching the old toy he had fixed for her, wondering why her father had not come home. He clenched his fists. His daughter was the only reason he endured these long years. Every mop stroke, every insult, every sleepless night, he carried it all for her. And now the council had taken that quiet life and thrown it into fire. The chamber door hissed open, and a guard stepped inside. "You are summoned again," he said coldly. Daniel stood, his jaw tight, and followed. This time he was led to a grand hall filled with council members and high executives. Their robes shimmered, their voices low with tension. At the center of the hall was something that froze. Daniel's blood, his daughter, standing between two alien guards. "Anna." Daniel's voice broke. He stepped forward. But the guards blocked him with their spears. Anna's eyes were wide with fear, her small hands trembling. "Papa?" she whispered. Rage burned through Daniel's chest. His calm mask cracked. His voice thundered. "Why have you brought her here? She has nothing to do with this." One of the counselors rose slowly, his eyes glowing with cold amusement. "On the contrary, human. She has everything to do with this. If you truly carry knowledge of our ancient tongue, then perhaps your bloodline carries something more. Perhaps your child also hears what others cannot." Daniel's hands curled into fists. He wanted to strike, to tear through the guards, but he forced himself to stay still. He knew one reckless move would cost his daughter's life. The counselor gestured toward Anna. "We will test her as we tested you. If she shows promise, she will be trained." "With us," Daniel's heart stopped. The word trained carried a darker meaning once taken. She would never be returned. He knew the council's ways. Those they trained belonged to them forever. Anna whimpered, shrinking back from the guards. Daniel's eyes softened. He looked at her, his voice steady, though his chest trembled. "It's all right, Anna. I'm here," the counselor sneered. "Speak, child. Do you hear the words I say?" He leaned down, hissing an alien phrase in the forbidden tongue. The hall went silent. Waiting, Anna's lips parted, but no words came. She shook her head quickly, tears forming in her eyes. "I don't understand," she whispered. The hall erupted in murmurs. Some laughed cruelly. Others shook their heads. "Useless," one hissed. "She has nothing." But Daniel saw the way Anna looked at him. The way her small hands clutched his sleeve when the guards let her close. He knew. She had no gift of language like him, but she had something greater. She had his heart, his strength, and he would not let them break her. "Enough," Daniel said. His voice low but sharp. The hall quieted. Every eye turned to him. "She is only a child. You will not touch her." His words carried such weight that even the guards hesitated. The counselor narrowed his eyes. "You forget your place, Janitor. You are in no position to command." Daniel stepped forward, his voice growing louder. "Then hear me well. I will cooperate. I will speak your words. I will give you what you want. But if you take her, if you lay one claw on her, I will burn every secret I hold to ash before you can touch it." The council chamber froze. His threat was dangerous, reckless, but real. They all knew it. The knowledge he carried was more valuable than gold. And if he destroyed it, their power would crumble. For a long moment, silence ruled. Finally, the elder counselor raised a claw, halting the guards. His cold eyes studied Daniel. "Very well," he said slowly. "The child will remain with you." For now, Daniel exhaled. Relief flooding through him, he pulled Anna into his arms. Holding her close, her small frame shook. But she buried her face against him. He whispered softly, "I've got you. You're safe." But deep inside, he knew the truth: she was not safe. Not while the council had their eyes on him. Not while whispers of his gift spread through the galaxy. The elder counselor's voice cut through the moment. "Human, you have forced our hand. You will serve us as translator. You will speak for us in places where even our tongues have failed. And your daughter will remain here under our care as encouragement." Daniel's blood boiled. He wanted to roar, to fight. But Anna's hand squeezed his arm gently. Her tearful eyes told him what he needed to hear: endure. For now, endure for her. He lowered his head. His voice steady, but laced. "With steel I will serve. But know this: you may command my tongue, but not my soul. And if you threaten her again, you will see the fire humans carry inside." Gasps rippled through the chamber. The counselors exchanged uneasy glances. None had ever heard a human speak to them with such boldness. Daniel tightened his hold on his daughter. His secret was no longer just his burden, it was hers too. And he swore silently, no matter the cost. He would keep her safe outside the council hall. Whispers already began, not only of the human who spoke their tongue, but of the fire in his eyes. A fire no alien council could extinguish. The janitor's secret was dangerous. But now, his daughter's danger had turned it into something far greater. Something that could shake the galaxy itself. The choice of power the days that followed were heavy with silence. Daniel was no longer just a janitor. He was kept under watch. Summoned when the council demanded his skill, they made him translate contracts, decode ancient scripts, and whisper meanings that had been lost to even their own kind. Every time he spoke, jaws tightened. Some counselors admired him, others feared him. But all of them wanted something from him, and every time, Daniel felt the invisible chains tighten around his wrists. Anna stayed close to him. The council claimed she was safe under their protection, but Daniel knew the truth: she was a hostage. Every glance from a guard reminded him that his choices no longer belonged to him alone. They belonged to her future too. One evening, Daniel was summoned to a chamber larger than any before. The ceiling stretched high, covered in glowing alien symbols. A circle of counselors stood around a single stone table. At its center lay an object wrapped in silver cloth. The elder counselor spoke, his voice heavy: "Human, today we offer you a choice. You have proven your skill. You have shown knowledge that we cannot ignore. Now you must decide: will you serve willingly, or must we bind you with power stronger than fear?" Daniel's brow furrowed. He did not speak. His silence drew out the tension until the elder gestured. The cloth was pulled away. Underneath lay a glowing crystal tablet, etched with alien words older than empires. Its light pulsed like a heartbeat. "This," the elder said, "is a relic of our ancestors. It carries the power to bind language. Whoever accepts it can never again hide their tongue. Their voice becomes ours. Their knowledge flows through us. Speak your oath upon it, and you will rise. Above a janitor, you will be honored, protected. Given wealth beyond your dreams, your daughter will live in luxury, no longer in shadows." The chamber grew silent. All eyes turned to Daniel. Waiting, Anna squeezed his hand. Her wide eyes searched his face. She didn't understand the relic, but she understood the danger. Her small voice whispered, "Papa, don't leave me." Daniel's chest tightened. The crystal pulsed, calling to him. He could feel its strange pull, as if it wanted to claim his voice, claim his mind. He thought of the years of mopping floors, the years of being invisible, ignored, pushed aside. The council was offering him power, safety, and a future without struggle. He could give Anna everything she deserved: shelter, education, protection, but he also thought of chains, golden chains perhaps, but chains all the same. If he swore on the relic, he would no longer be himself. His words would no longer be his own. They would belong to them. The elder counselor leaned forward, his voice sharp. Choose human power or silence. Daniel slowly lifted his eyes. His voice came low but steady. You offer me power, but what you truly want is control. You want me to kneel, to become your tool. You think my knowledge is your weapon, but you are wrong. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some counselors scowled. Others looked uneasy. The elder's eyes narrowed. Refuse, and your daughter will pay the price. Do not think we will spare her if you defy us. The threat cut through the air like a blade. Anna gasped softly, holding her father's arm tighter. Daniel's heart thundered. His mind screamed to protect her at any cost, but then, deep within him, another voice spoke, the same voice that had kept him alive through years of hardship. The voice that whispered to him when he learned languages no human dared to learn. It said, if you kneel now, you kneel forever, and she will kneel after you. Daniel took a slow breath. He looked at Anna, her frightened face, her tear-filled eyes. He bent slightly, brushing her hair back gently. His whisper was only for her, no matter what happens. You are my strength, remember that? Then he turned to the council. His voice no longer soft but powerful, echoing across the chamber. I will not swear on your relic. My voice is mine. My knowledge is mine, and no council, no crystal, no threat can change that. Gasps echoed. Some counselors rose to their feet, shouting defiance. Others whispered in awe, courage. The elder slammed his claw on the table, the crystal glowing brighter. His roar shook the walls. You dare defy us? You risk your child's life for pride? Daniel's eyes burned with fire. His voice thundered. No, I risk everything so she will not grow up a slave. You think I am afraid of losing her? I am afraid of her growing up watching her father kneel to monsters. The chamber went still. The words hung in the air like thunder that would not fade. Even the guards hesitated. Some lowered their weapons slightly, moved not by duty, but by the strange weight of his words. Anna's eyes widened. She had never seen her father so fierce. Her tears stopped, replaced by a small spark of pride. The elder's claws trembled with rage, but deep inside his eyes, Daniel saw something else: fear. Fear not of the man before him, but of the truth he spoke. The elder finally hissed, then so be it. You will face the consequences of your choice. Human, you have declared war with your words. Daniel stood taller, his hand resting protectively on Anna's shoulder. His voice was calm, steady, unbroken. Then let the galaxy hear me. I will not be your tool. I will not kneel. I am a janitor, a father, and a human. And that is enough to defy you. The chamber shook with chaos, some counselors shouting for punishment, others demanding caution. The guards wavered, unsure whether to strike or step back in the middle of it all. Daniel stood firm, his choice made, his fire unbroken. The choice of power had been placed before him, and he had chosen freedom. The human who spoke truth. The council chamber was chaos. Voices clashed like thunder. Some shouted for Daniel's death. Others demanded to study him further. Guards gripped their weapons. Torn between orders and hesitation, the glowing crystal pulsed angrily on the stone table. its light flickering like fire. Daniel stood in the center, Anna clutching his arm tightly. His back was straight, his face unshaken. He was only a janitor, only a father. Yet at that moment he stood taller than the council itself. The elder counselor roared, his claws slamming against the table. "This human dares to insult us. This janitor thinks himself our equal." His voice shook the walls, but his words carried less weight than Daniel's silence. Finally, one of the younger counselors rose, her voice calm but strong. "Enough," she said. "Look at him. Do you not see? He speaks our forgotten tongue. Without fear, he corrects our mistakes. He defies us openly. This is no spy. This is truth standing before us." The hall grew quiet. Her words carried something the others had ignored: reality. Another counselor spat bitterly. "Truth or not, he is dangerous. He stirs rebellion with nothing but words." Daniel finally spoke, his voice steady, carrying across the entire hall. "Yes, words, that is all I have. A mop, a child, and words, yet you tremble before me. Why? Because you know words carry more power than chains. More power than fear." Gasps rippled. Even the guards exchanged glances. Some lowered their weapons further. Daniel turned, his voice now louder. "You rule with silence, with secrets, but secrets rot, they weaken you, and when even a janitor can speak truths, you hide. Your power is already broken." The elder's face twisted with fury. He rose, his robe flaring. "Enough." He bellowed, "You will kneel, or you will die." Anna's small hand squeezed Daniel's. Her whisper trembled. "Papa?" Daniel looked at her, and in that moment, his fire grew even brighter. He bent, pressing his forehead to hers, whispering, "No fear, Anna." "Not today." He straightened, his eyes burning with defiance. "You want me to kneel? Then hear me, humans. Do not kneel forever. We bleed, we suffer, we struggle, but we rise. And if I fall today, others will rise after me. You cannot silence us all." The chamber went dead silent. His words rang louder than any council decree. The younger counselor stepped forward, her eyes fierce. "You see?" she said, pointing at him. "This is why he must not die. His voice is not just his own. It will spread, with or without him." The elder snarled, but hesitation flickered in his eyes. He saw the guards shifting uneasily. He saw the whispers spreading among even the lower workers outside the chamber doors. The fire was already out of control. At last, the elder slammed his claw down again. But his voice was weaker. "Take him away," he ordered. "Let him rot in the shadows where no one will hear him again." The guards moved, but slowly, uncertainly. Some even looked at Daniel with something new respect. Daniel raised his chin. "You can lock my body, but not my words. They are already free." Anna clung to him as the guards surrounded them, her eyes wide, her small voice trembling. "Papa, what's going to happen?" He smiled faintly, his hand brushing her hair. "Whatever happens, remember, you are free. You are mine, and no one can take that from us." As they were led away, whispers followed. Not just whispers of fear now, but whispers of hope. Workers outside bowed their heads slightly as Daniel passed, their eyes shining with quiet fire. The council had tried to make him a tool. They had tried to chain his knowledge, but instead, they had given him a stage. And on that stage, he had spoken truth that could not be caged. In the quiet of the holding chamber, Daniel sat with Anna in his arms. She rested her head against his chest, her breathing slowing as she drifted into sleep. He stared at the ceiling, his mind calm despite the storm ahead, for he knew something that council did not. Something he had learned long ago in the ashes of forgotten colonies. A single truth that kept him alive: words, once spoken, cannot be buried. And his words had already taken root. Somewhere beyond these walls, whispers were growing, spreading. From mouth to mouth, worker to worker, species to species. A story of a human janitor who stood before the council, holding nothing but a mop, a child, and his voice made the galaxy listen. The janitor with secrets was no longer just a man. He was a symbol, a spark. A truth that even the greatest council could not silence. And though chains might wait for him, though shadows might surround him, Daniel smiled faintly. Knowing one thing, the galaxy had heard the human who spoke truth, and it would never be the same again.